There are ghost stories, and then there are stories that refuse to die. In the hills of northern Tennessee, people still whisper about a voice that came from the darkness. A voice that laughed, screamed, and even carried on full conversations with anyone brave enough to answer. It wasn't hiding in an abandoned asylum. It wasn't trapped inside an old mansion. It lived inside an ordinary family's home. And according to dozens of eyewitnesses, it wasn't trying to scare them away. It wanted them to stay and suffer. Children woke up screaming as invisible hands yanked them from their beds. Heavy chains dragged across wooden floors with no one there. Strange voices echoed through the walls, calling people by name. Even one of America's most famous military heroes claimed to have faced whatever haunted that farm, and admitted he would rather fight an entire army than spend another night there. So, what really happened on that lonely Tennessee farm over 200 years ago? Was it America's first documented paranormal haunting, a cruel hoax, or something so terrifying that the truth has survived for generations? Tonight, we're stepping into one of the darkest legends in American history, the story of the Bell Witch. Before we begin, imagine this. It's 1817, no electricity, no phones, no neighbors just a few feet away, only endless forests, dirt roads, and complete silence after sunset. If something was watching you out there, no one was coming to help. That was everyday life for the Bell family. John Bell had moved his family to a quiet farm near what is now Adams, Tennessee. He was respected, hardworking, successful. Nothing about the Bells suggested they were about to become the center of one of America's most terrifying mysteries. For years, life was ordinary, until one evening, John was walking through his fields when he noticed something strange. A large animal stood perfectly still in the distance. At first, he assumed it was a dog. Then it looked like a wolf. As he got closer, it didn't move. Its eyes locked onto him. John raised his rifle and fired. The creature disappeared without leaving a single trace. No blood, no footprints, nothing. He convinced himself he had imagined it. But that encounter was only the beginning. A few nights later, the family heard knocking. Soft, slow, deliberate. Someone or something was hitting the outside walls of the house. John grabbed a lantern and searched every corner of the property. Nothing. The following night, the knocking came back, only louder. Then came scratching. Something seemed to be crawling across the wooden walls, as if long fingernails were dragging through the boards. Again, nothing was outside. At least, nothing they could see. Soon, the sounds grew impossible to ignore. Heavy footsteps crossed empty rooms. Chains rattled in the darkness. Beds shook violently in the middle of the night. Every time someone opened a door, the noise stopped. The noise stopped. The Bell family wasn't just hearing strange sounds anymore. They were living with them, and before long, whatever was inside that house would stop hiding in the shadows and choose its first victim. The Bell family tried to ignore it. They told themselves it had to be rats, the wind, an old house settling at night. But deep down, they knew those explanations no longer made sense, because whatever had entered their home was no longer satisfied with making noise. It wanted to be noticed, and it chose 12-year-old Betsy Bell. Every night, just moments after she fell asleep, she felt something pull at her hair. At first, she thought she was dreaming. Then the pulling became violent. Invisible hands yanked her across the bed. Blankets were ripped away. Pillows flew onto the floor. Sometimes she woke up with scratches across her face. Other times, painful hand-shaped bruises appeared on her arms. Her screams echoed through the farmhouse. The family rushed into her room, but every single time, the room was empty. No one was there, except Betsy, terrified, shaking, and begging them not to leave her alone. Soon, the attacks became impossible to hide. John Bell stayed awake with a lantern beside Betsy's bed, determined to catch whoever was hurting his daughter. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Then, without warning, Betsy's braid jerked backward so hard that her head snapped against the pillow. John lunged forward, trying to grab whatever was pulling her. His hands closed on absolutely nothing, yet Betsy's hair continued moving, as if an invisible person stood right beside the bed. That was the moment John Bell stopped looking for a human explanation. Something was inside the house, and it wasn't finished. Word spread quickly across the small Tennessee community. Neighbors didn't believe the stories until they spent a night in the Bell home. Many arrived as skeptics. Almost none left that way. Visitors claimed they heard whispers coming from empty corners. They heard footsteps overhead, even though no one was upstairs. Some felt invisible fingers tugging at their clothes. Others said someone breathed directly into their ears when nobody stood behind them. Then, the haunting crossed a line no one expected. The voice arrived. At first, it sounded weak, almost like someone whispering through the walls. No one could understand the words. But every night, the voice became stronger, clearer, smarter. Eventually, it began answering questions. It knew family secrets. It repeated private conversations that had taken place miles away. It quoted Bible verses from memory. It sang hymns. It laughed at people, and sometimes it mocked them by name. The Bell family claimed they never actually saw the speaker, only heard it. A calm voice one moment, a terrifying scream the next. It introduced itself simply as Kate. No one knew who or what Kate really was. Some believed it was the restless spirit of a woman who had once lived nearby. Others believed it was a demon pretending to be human. Whatever it was, it seemed obsessed with one person, John Bell. The invisible attacks that had once focused on Betsy now turned toward her father. John began suffering sudden pains throughout his body. His face twitched uncontrollably. His throat tightened without warning. Some mornings, he could barely swallow water. Neighbors noticed he looked weaker every week. Even stranger, whenever John tried to pray, the mysterious voice interrupted him, laughing, mocking him, sometimes finishing his sentences before he could. People traveled from neighboring towns just to hear the impossible voice for themselves. Some left convinced they had witnessed a miracle. Others believed they had stood in the presence of pure evil. But no matter what they believed, everyone agreed on one thing. Whatever lived inside that farmhouse seemed to be growing stronger, and before long, one unexpected visitor would arrive, a man whose name would become legendary across America, a man who believed no ghost could frighten him. He was about to learn just how wrong he was. The man who came to investigate wasn't an ordinary traveler. According to one of the most famous versions of the legend, it was Andrew Jackson. Years before he became the 7th President of the United States, Jackson had heard the stories and dismissed them as frontier superstition. He reportedly joked that ghosts didn't scare him. If the Bell Witch was real, he intended to prove it. As Jackson and his group approached the Bell farm, something strange supposedly happened. Their wagon suddenly stopped. The horses pulled with all their strength, but the wheels wouldn't move. The road was dry. Nothing blocked their path, yet it felt as if the wagon had been nailed to the ground. The men climbed down to inspect it. Everything looked perfectly normal. Then, a voice echoed through the trees, calm, clear, and impossible to explain. "You may go on. I'll see you tonight." Silence filled the air. No one could see who had spoken. According to the legend, the wagon immediately rolled forward as if nothing had ever happened. That night, Jackson's confidence reportedly disappeared. His group claimed they heard footsteps circling the house, furniture moving by itself, and the same mysterious voice laughing in the darkness. One of the men, who bragged that he could control evil spirits, was said to have been violently thrown from his bed by an unseen force. By sunrise, he wanted to leave immediately. Jackson is often quoted as saying he would rather fight an entire British army than spend another night with the Bell Witch. Whether he actually said those exact words is impossible to verify today, but the story became one of the most famous parts of the Bell Witch legend. As the months passed, John Bell's condition continued to decline. He grew weaker, sicker, barely able to speak. Then, in December of 1820, the family found him unconscious. On a nearby shelf sat a small glass bottle no one recognized. The mysterious voice reportedly claimed responsibility, laughing as it declared that John Bell would never wake again. John died soon afterward. No modern evidence has ever proven exactly what caused his death. Some historians believe illness played the central role. Others point to the family's terrifying claims as part of a legend that grew over time. What happened next is one reason this story has survived for more than 2 centuries. The disturbances gradually faded. The voice became less frequent. Eventually, the Bell farmhouse fell silent, but the legend didn't end there. People continued reporting strange experiences around the property for generations. Today, the nearby Bell Witch Cave has become one of Tennessee's most famous paranormal destinations. Visitors have described hearing unexplained sounds, seeing mysterious lights, and feeling as though someone is quietly following them through the darkness. None of these experiences have been scientifically confirmed. Some visitors leave convinced they've witnessed something paranormal. Others believe the atmosphere and the power of the legend can influence what people think they experience. And that's what makes the Bell Witch so fascinating. Unlike many ghost stories, this one sits in a strange place between documented history, family testimony, local folklore, and centuries of debate. Was the Bell family haunted by something beyond explanation? Did fear, rumor, and coincidence create one of America's greatest legends? Or is there still something waiting in the hills of Tennessee for the next person curious enough to listen? No matter what you believe, one fact remains. More than 200 years later, people are still asking the same question. What really happened to the Bell family? Maybe we'll never know. Or maybe some legends survive because they're not finished telling their story.